your kind of company.
Tonight on CTV3 News, blood flows in Sugar City as 27-year-old Byron Herrera is executed. He faced a vicious death as his body is riddled with bullets. Restructuring of Petrocaribe debt leads to $250 million in savings. ATM at Escuela Mexico targeted by thieves. And Prime Minister John Briceño spreads the Christmas cheer. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast from Monday, December 12th, 2022.
Ever since I was a kid, I've dreamt of going to Mars. You can keep my dream alive.
Come with me. You cannot, under any circumstances, leave my room, okay? Only for 35 days.
Enjoy your favorite HBO original series and movies with
Centaur, your kind of company.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
Good evening with your news, also simulcast on Face FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. Shots rang out on Saturday night on San Francisco Street in the Uniontown area of Orange Walk Town. By the time police arrived in the area, 27-year-old Byron Herrera lay dead in his yard, his body riddled with bullets. As much as 20 shots had been fired at Herrera, and all of them have found their target. It is a murder that has many in shock and a family filled with questions. Elmer Cornejo reports.
The execution-style murder of 27-year-old Byron Herrera has residents of San Francisco Street in Orange Walk in shock. The body of Herrera had been perforated with bullets as many as 20 times. He received injuries on the right foot, buttocks, back, abdomen, chest, elbow, and right arm. Each shot marked its target until Herrera lay dead on this spot located below his home. A lit candle shows that death lurked the area on Saturday night and found its victim. It is not known if Herrera was lured out of his home or if he had just arrived in the area when he met face-to-face with his murderer or murderers. What we do know is that reports suggest this is not the first time there has been an attempt at Herrera's life. In at least 2 other occasions he had been shot at, but he managed to escape unhurt. Police so far have not been able to detain or arrest anyone in connection with Herrera's murder, and residents of the area, fearing for their lives, refuse to get involved or even speak to the media. As for Herrera's family, they remain with several questions which they hope cops will be able to answer as investigations get underway. But for now, they prefer to abstain from commenting on the murder of their loved one. Several expended shells were recovered at the scene. Elmer Cornejo, CTV3 News.
Since last Wednesday, the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association and the BSI-ASR have been engaged in mediation sessions in hope of signing a new commercial agreement before the commencement of the new crop season on December 19th. But it seems that it is a Christmas wish that will not come through for farmers. Despite 3 days of mediation so far, on Saturday, Prime Minister John Bracena told us the impasse remained.
I did hear that they seem to be at an impasse, and it's unfortunate because we need to start the crop. All farmers from all four associations want to deliver the cane. BSI needs to produce sugar. In the north, people need to go back, they need to work. And the country as a country, we need the sugar industry to thrive. So I'm hoping that that calmer heads will prevail and that probably BSCFA can find some sort of agreement or accommodation for at least for the crop to start while they continue their discussions to see if at any time they could come up with something that would be just and fair to everyone.
The House of Representatives met in Belmopan for the final time in 2022. The sitting began with a moment of silence in honor of late Speaker and former Minister Sylvia Flores, who died last week and will be buried on Friday in a special funeral service in her native Dangriga. And before entering Parliament business, the PM reminiscing on the life of Flores.
She was this great, outstanding Belizean leader, a leader that was never afraid to stand up for her people, the people that she represents. We know she was one of the most successful mayors that Dangriga has had, Speaker, President of the Senate, the representative, minister in government, pretty much everything you could name in public service, Sylvia Flores did, and did it to a very high standard. We all recognize that Sylvia came from the very same cloth of George Price, a leader that served with humility, a leader that was never concerned about personal wealth, but about the wealth of her people and her country. And you can never be accused of Sylvia having a mean bone in her body or to try to have done anything, any kind of decision because she or her siblings would have benefited. And she's a wonderful example of what a true public servant is, because she was a servant pretty much her entire adult life.
And then it was right into business at the House of Representatives, where Prime Minister John Briceño announced that pending rebalancing of the books between the governments of Belize and the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, Belizeans are looking at an incredible restructuring of the Petrocaribe debt by as far much as $250 million. The second time in 2 years, reducing national public debt by $1 billion in 2 years.
President Maduro and I, on behalf of Venezuela and Belize, have agreed on restructuring the terms for Petrocaribe debts, which will reduce the amount Belize owes under Petrocaribe by anywhere between Belize $267 million and $327 million. As I said earlier, we still have to balance the books between Belize and Venezuela. Belize debt to GDP will therefore fall by another 6 to 7 percentage points. At such time that Belize can pay Venezuela, we will pay back this much reduced amount and do so from the date of our new agreement on the original terms provided for under Petrocaribe, which is at an interest rate of 2%, with a repayment period of 25 years and a principal moratorium of 2 years. Effectively, we have secured a substantial haircut and reset the reduced outstanding balance on the original terms for repayment to commence when conditions allow for Belize to do so. In 2 years, our administration, this People's United Party administration, worked through the debt management unit. We have negotiated public debt reduction of over Belize $1 billion. Each and every Belizean man, woman, and child now owes $2,500 less because of this government's debt reduction efforts. The Central Bank of Belize and the IMF estimate that at the close of this year, 2022, Belize's debt to GDP ratio will have been reduced to around, drumroll, to around 63%. 63%. You could clap, you could clap. This is less than half of where it stood when we took office 2 years ago.
The House will be considering a fourth supplementary appropriation bill for 2022 concerning spending in the wake of Hurricane Lisa, which struck in November, and a pair of outstanding bills concerning changes to the filing of marriage notices, among other things. Coming up next, the robbers burglarized ATM at Escuela, Mexico. They walk away with an undisclosed amount of cash. Stay tuned.
Shell is giving away over $20,000 in prizes this Christmas. One lucky customer will win $6,500 in fuel, plus over 40 customers will win either $150 in fuel vouchers or $500 in cash. To enter, spend $40 Belize or more in fuel. Complete the entry form and drop it in the boxes provided. Fuel up with Shell this Christmas for your chance to win. Promotion runs from November 21 to December 31, 2022. Terms and conditions apply. Visit solpetroleum.com/winbig with Shell for more details. Shell trademarks are used by Shell Brands Incorporated under license from Shell Brands International AG.
LG dual inverter compressor cools air faster by operating at speeds as high as 120 Hz with more stability compared to conventional models. It also saves up to 70% more energy by operating at speeds as low as 10 Hz with more stability. It reduces torque vibration down to 40% for quiet outdoor unit operation. Stable operation with low vibrations also results in increased durability.
Centaur, your kind of company.
Se acerca el Mundial Qatar 2022, fecha de inicio 20 de noviembre. ¡Viva la emoción de cada partido!
Le quiere hacer un puente al portero, pero este no se deja. ¡Qué leñazo, señores!
De cada golazo y de cada jugada.
Y se reanuda el juego con un bote tuya, mía, tenla, te la presto, dámela.
A través de Centaur. Suscríbase ahora.
Christmas is exactly 2 weeks away, and while it is a season of shopping and spree, criminals are also out looking for their next spree. But in order to make a quick buck, criminals are not only eyeing persons, homes, or even businesses, they are also targeting ATMs. Proof of that is that over the weekend, the Belize Bank ATM machine located at the entrance of Escuela Secundaria Técnica México in San Roman Village in the Corozal district was burglarized while the security guards of the institution were held at gunpoint. Elmer Cornejo has the story.
In the wee hours of Sunday morning, the Belize Bank ATM located at the Escuela Secundaria Técnica Mexico's premises in San Roman, Corozal, was hijacked by at least 4 robbers. They held the security guards on duty, Faustino Dominguez and Alfonso Casaneda, at gunpoint at around 1 in the morning before breaking into the ATM. But it seems the ATM was not the intended target. When the robbers entered the school compound and held the watchmen at gunpoint, they questioned them about the school's main office and if any money was kept on site. When the criminals were informed that all monies are deposited at the bank, the men asked about the location of the school's warehouse and if any tools were inside. 2 of the men were taken to the wood workshop where the padlock of the metal shutter was broken, access was obtained, and the room was ransacked. At that time, 18-year-old Jordi Garcia arrived at the institution to carry out his shift, and he too was held at gunpoint. Reports suggest 3 of the masked men gained access to the ATM by destroying and removing the metal door located at the back of the building inside the school campus. Once inside, the thieves made sure to damage the cameras of the ATM building, remove the DVR player, and destroy the wire connections of the alarm system. Once they got what they were looking for, a black SUV then arrived to the front of the school and then reversed to the gate. The men then ushered the metal box containing an undisclosed amount of money inside the SUV, boarded the vehicle, and drove off towards a northern direction. Luckily, no one was injured during the incident. Elmer Cornejo, CTV3 News.
Up to news time, no one has been detained since neither Dominguez or Castaneda could identify the attackers who concealed their identities by utilizing ski masks and black shirts to cover their face and long-sleeve camouflage jackets, dark in color long pants, and gloves to cover their body. The Ministry of Immigration and Nationality faces a new alleged claims of corruption at its highest ranks 6 years after the Senate Special Select Committee addressed similar issues occurring between 2013 and 2015. Leader of the opposition, Moses Shinebaro, asked this morning in the House for the minister to report what steps the ministry is taking to prevent corruption in the department, in particular human trafficking and the illegal sale of passports to foreign nationals. A follow-up question zeroing in on the issue of corruption was disallowed for naming a particular individual. In regard to human trafficking, Prime Minister John Brisenia, responding for Minister Senator Eamon Courtney, reminded of Belize's ascension to the Tier 2 list of the U.S. State Department's annual report on trafficking in persons, and also stated that 15 officers now form an elite squad within the enforcement unit of the ministry and are being trained and vetted on issues related to trafficking in persons. At the same time, the PM outlined some of the other moves made to combat human trafficking.
They have been trained and currently going through an additional vetting process for eligibility to be a part of what we call an elite squad, to be trained in the following: A, document forgeries; B, drafting of charges; C, interviewing and investigating techniques; and D, prosecution. Discussion is ongoing with our U.S. counterparts to assist with training. We have been actively pursuing cases of migrant smuggling into Belize and have charged more than 30 persons with transporting at least 280 migrants that have entered Belize illegally. On April 25th of 2022, Statutory Instrument 82 of 2022 was signed by the Minister of Immigration to reinstate a visa restriction in order to curb instances of those nationals from Venezuela, the Dominican Republic, and Ecuador that were entering via our legal ports of entry with the intention of being smuggled into Mexico through illegal crossings to try to reach the U.S.-Mexico border. Where the need arises, the ministry will not hesitate to impose visa restrictions on nationals of other countries, especially where there is a threat to Belize's national security and stability, as we continue to promote safe, orderly, and regular migrant practices. We continue to work with the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Unit of the Police Department and Human Development Department in interviewing persons suspected of being trafficked. Currently, there is an ongoing multi-agency quote, Operation Grinch, end of quote, which is geared at combating all illicit activities, including migrant smuggling, human and drug trafficking, illegal firearms, as well as contraband. Finally, we are seeking to create a post for an in-house attorney at law, to assist with legal advice and prosecution of matters relating to migrant smuggling.
As for passports, the system was bifurcated into border management and nationality and passports. To obtain a passport, one must present either a birth certificate, adoption certificate, nationality certification, or affirmation certificate, and a nationality scrutinizing committee has been established, and the identities of applicants presented in the government gazette before and after the final ceremony. Those seeking nationality must have permanent residence and are not allowed to stay out of Belize for 30 days consecutively, and the Passports Department is further separated to invite more eyes into the process.
For example, officers who accept applications are not the same ones who complete the process. The acceptance of all applications is done by the customer service officer, who are supervised by an administrative assistant who is the customer supervisor service supervisor. The creation of files is done by the records management unit, which is supervised by an administrative assistant. The vetting of the files for nationality applications is done by the nationality unit, supervised by an administrative assistant. The interviewing of applicants and their referees is done by the investigation unit of the Border Management and Immigration Services Department. We're making every effort necessary to safeguard every step in the process.
With the advent of the electronic passport control and issuance system EPICS, applications are done online when an appointment is first made and the other steps are done in person. The birth certificate system is being digitized at the Vital Statistics Unit and proper data input is necessary. The Prime Minister noted that the sequential order of passports issued ensures that a void passport by error cannot be legally issued.
Again, subsequently, the steps within the EPICS demand proper data input before producing a valid passport. I need to point out, and when we introduced the EPICS, the Governor General was issued the first passport, and her number was number 2. And so she asked the Minister Courtney, who got number 1? It was not me. But what happened in the system is that if an error is made, you can't use that number again. So that if somebody, let's say, okay, number 1, the system will show that number 1 was void. So if somehow somebody would get a passport with number 1, the system, whenever they would go anywhere in the world and they try to process it, is going to be flagged. As opposed to nowhere they scratch out the numbers and give you, as they say, oh, this one is void, but they write the same number to somebody else illegally, this could no longer happen. Again, I repeat, our passport application applicants must present themselves to the offices to have their data recorded before they obtain Abilese passports. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Immigration is not aware of any passport that have been sold to any foreigner since November 2020 and does not believe that there is such. We urge the leader of the opposition to hand over to the appropriate authorities within the next 7 days any evidence he has that suggests that some criminality has occurred. This includes any information in his possession relating to John Birchman Saldivar and Elvin Pena matters.
A follow-up question zeroing in on the issue of corruption was disallowed for naming a particular individual. Today in Parliament, the President administration also introduced the 4th General Revenue Supplementary Appropriation for the financial year to date, seeking approval for around $70 million in new spending. We will have that for you in tomorrow's newscast. A young boy from Denver is fighting for his life in Belize after suffering a horseback riding accident while on vacation. Denver 7 spoke to the mother of 8-year-old Stefan Karian, who is pleading for help to get him back home to Colorado as quickly as possible. Here is that report.
A Denver boy is fighting for his life in Belize after a horseback riding accident while on vacation. Christian Lopez spoke to the boy's mom, who's pleading for help to get him back home to Colorado as quickly as possible.
My family and I went on our first ever cruise through Carnival, and Belize was one of the stops.
What was supposed to be a fun family vacation,
we planned to go to a monkey sanctuary, and the tour included a horseback ride,
took a terrifying turn for this Denver family.
I heard yelling, and I looked over, and I see this horse coming from where everybody goes to go on the trail or whatever back down the road towards us. And as it's running past, I see that the saddle is flipped and that my son is being dragged by his foot. My older daughter and I, started yelling and screaming and running as fast as we could to get to him, but that horse was really fast.
She says thankfully someone jumped in a car and stopped the horse down the road. 8-year-old Stefan Kirian is now in a Belize hospital fighting for his life. His family working as hard as they can to get him back to Colorado.
He's hanging in there. He's not going to make it if he stays out here. He really wants to come home. This morning he was just crying and begging me to get him home.
launching this GoFundMe to help cover the cost to get him home.
He needs a medical aircraft with medical personnel that can monitor him and administer his medications, watch his brain activity, all of that stuff.
Stefan's mom, Heidi, says that will cost at least $40,000. She's pleading for the community's help.
As a mom, it's the most critical thing. It's all I can think about. I will do anything to get my son home. All I care about is him living. And I know if I can get him to a place that has the resources, he's going to live, and we will work through everything else. I don't want to lose my son. And if anybody knows somebody that will go get him and bring him home, that works too. I don't care. I want to get him home.
Reporting in Denver, Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
That poor family, and you can help get Stefan home. We've added the GoFundMe link to this story on Denver7.com, and you will find it at the top of our homepage.
Stefan Kirian is currently on a flight back from Belize and will be landing in Colorado tonight, thanks to the owner of a Peak Medevac who saw his story and offered to go pick him up for free. Every year since the early 1990s, the Honorable John Briseno and his Orange Walk Central Executive has been hosting the annual Children's Christmas Party, and this year was no exception. Over the weekend, children and adults of San Lorenzo Housing Site, San Esteban, and Uniontown area, which fall under Briseno's constituency, get a visit from Old St. Nick, who arrived with a sleigh filled with gifts.
As we all know, every Christmas is something, a tradition from Orange Walk Central. I think the first one that we did, I think it was either 1993 or 1994. And it's a tradition that, thank God, we managed to be doing every single year. It's a lot of work, but to us, I think it's so heartwarming, you know, to see kids playing and having fun and playing games and trying to get a prize from Santa. And we even try to get the parents to involve so that it could be more a family affair for Christmas. As we know, Christmas is for children, and we need to do everything possible to make this time of the year a special time for them.
Today, though, John Briseno is the Prime Minister of Belize. We asked him how it is possible that one of the busiest, if not the busiest man in Belize, finds time to be with families who anticipate his presence with the big old St. Nicholas.
I'm the Prime Minister of this country, thanks to the people of Orange Walk Central. If they had not given me their confidence to represent them once again, I would not be able to be the Prime Minister. So my immediate bosses are the people from Orange Walk Central. So it's not like a chore, but it's part of my responsibility and something that I do from the bottom of my heart to be able to respond to the people of Orange Walk Central. So I just came in from the Dominican Republic. I've been many meetings and coming tired, but I just feel I have to be here. It is something that I do from my heart. And when I see the children laughing and playing, I'm just being happy. And seeing the smiles in the face of the mothers and the fathers, it's worth all the work. It's worth all the stress. It's worth all the efforts that myself, along with my team, with the people in the Orange Walk Central office and some members of the Orange Walk Central executive and others that come in to help the Orange Walk Town Council, Mayor Ladrick Shepherd, and some of the councils are here also, because we do that jointly. It's worth it. It's worth every effort that we do.
Children, parents, and spectators walked away with jolly merry hearts and smiling faces, most of whom were lucky to take home their favorite toy or home appliance. As we inch closer to Christmas, some area representatives have already mobilized their Christmas assistance machineries within their communities. While some are hosting Christmas parties for the kids, others are sharing the love with food baskets. All of this will be complemented with the Christmas cheer that will be allocated to each constituency by the Briseno administration.
Yes, we'll be doing it. We've already approved it. I don't remember the exact number. I think it's somewhere around 75,000, which is less than last year. And then everybody's going, all constituencies are getting it.
And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Tuesday, December 13th, here on CTV3 and Face FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3believenews.com. You could also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/CTV3believenews or our YouTube channel at CTV3 News BZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at CTV3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.